This recording was made as part of the Oral History Project by St. Joseph's College Honors Program students in spring 2017 semester. It was recorded on April 10, 2017 at 12 p.m. in the Sisters of St. Joseph's Convent, located at 232 Clinton Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. The interviewers are Pamela Castillo, Denise Traratola, and Dara DeRosiers. How do I pronounce? DeRosiers, thank you, and Juanita Arias. The interviewee is Sister Patricia Dittmer. Thank you very much, Sister Patricia, for having us here today.
And welcome.
Thank you.
For an SJC alumna, sister, and instructor of the early education in the Dillon Center, will you describe the most important moment for you personally during your time at SJC?
The most important memory?
Yes, most important moment for you.
Well, I came to St. Joseph's for 2 years. I was 2 years at a sister's division in Brentwood, Long Island, and then we came to St. Joseph's for our last 2 years. And I was just amazed because when we were at Brentwood College, it was just the sisters. And then we came into the big world, and we saw all the students and how enthusiastic you were and how you loved St. Joseph's College, and you just felt that you wanted to be here, as well as all the wonderful teachers that were here. So I would say that is was the biggest impact, to see all of the students and how happy and dedicated you were and just made you want to be here.
So since you started here, what would you say was the most important change or changes that has or have been made to the college during your time at SJC, and why?
Well, there have been so many changes over the years. First of all, in terms of the Dillon Center, many different directors and staff members, and of course that adds to the beauty of the department and the beauty of the school. Having the college students come into the Dillon Center and actually work with the children, and then working with them in Child Study 208, because I'm also in the Child Study department, has just really been wonderful. So I would say the biggest changes that impact the school, both the Dillon Center and the college, has been change in administration and change in staff.
As you already have said, you being in the college for a couple of years already.
I'm sorry?
As you being in the college already for a couple of years.
Yes.
If you had to pick your favorite memory from SJC, what would it be and why?
As a teacher,
Well, yes.
my favorite memory in terms of teaching at the college would be teaching various methods courses, which of course we don't have anymore with the changes in the state ed department. And so being able to teach creative arts in the elementary school, social studies methods, the religious development of the child, I miss those things. And those were my favorite memories, because you got in touch with many different types of students and tapped into everybody's creativity. Now I teach early childhood education, which is wonderful, and I love it. But I miss all those other things too, as well.
Can you describe to us one of those classes?
Pardon?
Can you describe to us one of those classes that you used to enjoy so much? How will you develop the classroom?
All right. Well, for, let's see, creative arts in the elementary school, I used to have the students, they would collect things in a box throughout the entire semester, spools of thread, ribbons, anything they could find. They didn't know what they were going to do with them. And then for the last class, I would bring them here in the convent, and we would go downstairs to the sewing room, and I would have purchased wreaths, undecorated wreaths, and they had to take out their boxes and they had to decorate their wreaths. And it was so wonderful because all of these students who said, I'm not creative, I can't draw a straight line, I can't do anything, came up with the most beautiful wreaths. Not only that, they helped one another. They created a real sense of community. It was wonderful.
Wow, I can imagine. Can I have one of those classes?
Absolutely. You might change your major to child study.
I mean, my fellow friends who are doing child study major, they have so much experience outside of the classroom that immediately as soon as they step out of the class, they are already so prepared that it just can please.
That's so nice to hear. Thank you, thank you.
And in fact, as we were provided with the magazine that was published in 2005, it said that the students from St. Joseph's College who graduate in Child Study Department are known as one of the best students, some of the best students in New York to teach.
Thank you.
So
We're proud of that too.
this actually jumps quite easily to the next question, and it is, according to your biography, you have a passion for art,
Yes.
creativity, music, and movement and learning. So how do you merge your interest in music and art to teach your students currently?
Dillon Center students? Okay, I have to
Dillon
distinguish
Center.
between the children and the college students.
Let's do Dillon Center and then college students.
Okay, well, for the Dillon Center, what I like to do is, because I teach the older children, I always say I teach the seniors of the Dillon Center. They're 4 and 5 years old. And parents are certainly concerned about the academics because there's so much rigor and so much pushing back of the curriculum, so that in a lot of the schools, kindergarten is like first grade. You've heard of this before, I'm sure. So what I like to do is use music and art and integrate all areas of the curriculum. So for instance, when we're doing music, we might be doing songs about counting or subtracting, movement in terms of shapes, art certainly in terms of shapes, literacy. Would you like to tell us about your story? And when they're ready, they're able to write inventive spelling. They're able to write about their story. So it's just wonderful to be able to do that. For the college students to come over to the Dillon Center, actually work with the children to see what our philosophy is, which is a play-based curriculum, and we teach to the whole child. We don't just teach to intellectual development, but to the entire child, and to see how we weave that into actually teaching happy children, children who want to be here, parents who are happy to have their children here. So it's a wonderful blend to have the babes and to have the big girls and boys.
I really wish I had that growing up.
So do I.
And I'm pretty sure these songs will remain with them as they grow older. Do you
Please,
have
God.
a specific
Yes.
memory of a student who came to you and said, hey, I remember that song?
Well, it's very interesting because I had a student here a few years ago, and we had a child here whose father was a famous artist. His work was shown in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And he invited the class, the children, to go to his studio, which was only a few blocks away in this glorious house on top of a hill. And this college student, any students who was with us, came with us. And he showed us what his studio looked like, how he designed his things. And it was a fabulous experience for the children, for me, and for the college students. A couple of years later, she came back to me, and she said, Sister Pat, I'm majoring in art for my master's. And she said, I had to choose an artist, and one of the artists was this parent. And she said, when I told my class, I have been to his house. I've seen how he works. She said they were so amazed. So that's just one of many stories that, right off the bat comes to me.
Well, that's wonderful. And another question I have in regards to the Dillon Center. St. Joseph's College is known for teaching education, offering child study majors since the early 1940s. What are some of the major changes that you have observed about the Dillon Center and childhood education in general during your experience at St. Joseph's College?
Well, because of the pressures of society and the economy, the Dillon Center used to be just half-day programs for all children. So we would have a morning session and an afternoon session for just 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and 5-year-olds. When we started getting enrollment for children who had challenges, it then was, at that time, you would have a room just for children with special needs, special education room. That's no longer the case. Now it's inclusion, right? So that was one of the things. We had one room for that. Now we have an inclusion program where one class, half the children are typically developing, and the other half are children with special needs, and have two head teachers in that room and 2 assistant teachers. However, throughout the building, children with challenges are integrated into our program. So that's one thing. The other thing was, as I said, parents had to work. We decided that we had to have it full day. And so, as a matter of fact, I was the first one to start the full day kindergarten in Dillon. Also computer education. When that started, it was like we had to have, someone donated a computer, and it was in the kindergarten, and I went with the Board of Ed to learn out how to do a computer, turn it on. I'm not sure I'm not much better than that right now, to turn it on, etc. And so we started a computer program in Dillon. So that's just some of the major changes that have taken place.
Great, and if you need help, we're here for you.
Thank you. Good to know. That's on camera, I hope.
When you first started here, was child study the most popular major?
Yes, it was. Child study was the most popular. But I always loved children, and so I knew that that's what I wanted to do. However, I had no idea that there was a Dillon Center. I didn't know that. And it was Sister John Raymond, who was secondary ed here, the chair of secondary ed for a long time. She then became the general superior of our congregation. And she told me when I graduated, she said to me, I think that you would really like the Dillon Center. And I said, what's the Dillon Center? And then she told me, and I came. But in those days, you had to be invited to teach in the Dillon Center. You didn't apply. So a lot of the teachers came right from the class, the graduating class. And Sister Margaret Louise was the director at the time, and she would come and observe you and this kind of stuff. And that's how I started. And when I first started, I taught 3-year-olds. And I loved them, and then I moved to the 4s and the 4s, 5s. So it was great.
So you've talked a little bit about how the college has changed since you started here. What kind of changes and improvements do you think SJC needs to meet the growing student population and to meet the students' needs going forward?
I think certainly more creativity in terms of what's being offered, how those courses are offered. I know the big thing now is online, but I can't help but say to you that we need the personal touch of the teacher. We need to, for myself, I need to see the student. You know, I always say to my students, sit so I can see you. I need to see your face, you know, because it's that personal thing. How that's going to happen, I know there's module teaching and all this kind of thing. I really don't know. I think we have to gain a sense of trust, a sense of community again, because with every change, of course, there are challenges and then things that you say, oh, the next time maybe we won't do this, we'll do something else. So I think we evaluate all of that and we go back to, you know, our strengths, which I think is a small college where teachers are interested in their students and willing to help them any way we can, but also being honest with you. There are some college students who say to me they wanted to teach young children, but then after having the course or dialogue, they'd be much better with older children. And that's fine. I always say to them, it's better that you learn when you're younger than imagine if you decided, oh, I'm going to teach young children and I'm going to teach, let's say, preschool. And you've graduated, you take a job doing preschool, and you don't like it. And every day you have to go to that job. And children are perceptive. They pick up on those things. So it's good that we have that hands-on and we're able to help you as best we can.
Right, so it helps the students, and it helps us, well, the smaller students to get a close connection.
That's right.
We totally also can see that from the other departments as well, St. Joseph's.
Sure, of course.
Transforming students.
What? That's right. That's right.
I would like to consider past events like World War II, and World War II definitely had an impact on the entire world. How do you think it affected the women of St. Joseph's College, and how are they involved, the women of St. Joseph's College?
You should know that I was a little girl then. All right, so that's okay. I can just tell you that I think women are stronger today, and there are many more talents that women have because they wanted to help the efforts, you've read history, for the war, and they did things behind the scenes. Now, look what women can do. They can be in the armed services. We can do whatever we need to do.
Yeah. And I also, based on past research on the archive, I learned that they even adopted children like from France, the women of St. Joseph's College, the orphanage.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, so that's okay.
And according to Alumnogram, there was a strong alumni presence in the 1930 with Alumni Week program. And do you think the alumni relationship have remained strong today?
I think they're continually struggling, to get, particularly you have the older alums who are very connected with the college. And sometimes, which is wonderful, why you want to learn about the history of college, so you can feel that connection. And I think that's what we have to do in terms of a change. We have to tell our students the rich history of the college. So when they leave, they can say, look what we had, look what we came from. We want to come back and support the college and future education for men and women to come to the college.
That it's certainly very important, Sister Pat, that close connection. And I think it's one of the kids at St. Joseph's need to really explore. Because
Exactly.
we appreciate so much the help and all opportunities that St. Joseph's has to offer. Like,
That's right.
For instance, being able to come to talk to one of the sisters of St. Joseph's, being in this beautiful building.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of these experiences we appreciate so much that all of us who appreciate so much St. Joseph should be able to come and build those connections with the students who are coming
Exactly.
in the back.
Exactly. We do that in Dillon. Do you know how many families come back to us and say, oh, Sister Pat, I had you, blah, 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 blah. And once you, they're big now. Once you tell me, I'm like, oh, yes, I can remember. Or children that I've had in the Dillon Center that then went to the college, that then had their own children and came back to Dillon again. So wonderful. It's so rich.
So you have them as little Dane as college students.
And then as parents.
What a beautiful story.
So now we will be moving to the college mission and values. So based upon our research, reflection about all photos of nuns in the college, how do you feel about the diminishing numbers of nuns in the college?
I'm sad. I'm very sad. I'm sad about the diminishing numbers, not only for our college, but for so many of the Catholic schools that had to close. But that's how society is. So what's God's plan for us? So there are not going to be that many religious communities, or religious communities that are going to be different. Not the way they are now. Certainly the way they were when I first entered, which was 50 years ago, is very different to the way it is today. I wouldn't be sitting here dressed like this. I'd have a habit on. I'm not sure I would be as free to speak with you as I am now. So all of those changes are good. But with every change, there's a positive and a negative. So I do feel sad about that, but I feel hopeful that we are emerging and will emerge better and stronger, but just different.
I think this goes back to St. Joseph's, the Sister of St. Joseph in Brentwood, the mission of love of God to the neighbor without distinction.
Love of God and love of neighbor, right. And I trust and I believe that St. Joseph will help us, will help the college, and will help our congregations.
So do you think with the changing of nuns and the changing of the world that that we've been able to maintain the Catholic values and the college mission?
Well, I think we're trying. I think it's a constant struggle. I think certainly the way, if you are Catholic, the way you were raised now and the way I was raised is very, very different. And I'm not sure that in terms of religious education for children today, they have enough of the foundation that they had when I was younger. And I think that's missing. And I think it's good to talk about love of God and love Jesus and love your neighbor, but we have to give some of the doctrine of the church in order for us to grow and develop. And so I think that we need to change. I think we need to do more in terms of sharing those values as we try as best we can, yet giving everyone their freedom. That's a struggle that we're continually working with.
Are there any type of religious classes in the Dillon Center?
No, and that's because we welcome everyone. We are Catholic-based, but we talk about all kinds of religion. We leave no one out, no gender or anything or religion. And so we talk, and we have parents coming in and talk to us, about Passover, about Hanukkah. We had Muslim parents come in and they did Ramadan with us. And it's so wonderful because it's wonderful for my education. And it's wonderful for the children because it teaches diversity, it teaches respect, it teaches love, it teaches all the things that our mission is all about. Love of God and love of neighbor.
I think it's so good that you incorporate that into the Dillon Center.
Yes, we're very fortunate.
That goes hand in hand with the ACES program as well, that also tries to merge the diversity of the college.
It's beautiful.
Right. The new clubs on campus as well, Asian Awareness Club, that also tries to bridge the different cultures that are present at the college. Were you here at the Holy event that the students were throwing colors at each other?
Yes, it was fun.
All right.
Yeah, it was fun.
Your student.
Yeah, it was fun.
And she was scared of getting caught.
Yes.
So it's such a beautiful, experience to see the different diversities while keeping our tradition.
That's right. If I could just go back to the babes, I call them the babes, the children for a minute. It's one of the things that I just did with them. We have a tree house now in our classroom that the parents built with their grandpa, and somebody brought in fresh eggs from a farm. And so some were brown and some were tan and some were white. And so we looked at it. And I said to them, we looked at the colors on the outside, and then I said, do you think that the brown eggs will be brown on the inside? And will the tan eggs be tan? And will the white eggs be white? Yes. I said, let's find out. So we opened one at a time, and we looked, and they said, now, of course, they see the brown, so they think it looks different. Now, you know that brown eggs do not look different on the inside. I said, okay. So I took them all, and we scrambled them all together. And I said, so now tell me, which is the brown one, which is the tan one, which is the white one? And they couldn't tell. And I said, it's just like us. We're all different on the outside, but the same on the inside. And then we painted our skin with skin tone paint because some child said she was white. And I said, okay, let's see if you're white. And we took a piece of paper and we put it next to her skin. And I said, are you white? She said, no. I said, let's find out what color you are. And she turned out to be a peach. So who is a peach and who is chocolate and who is toast and who is almond? Again, to bring in that diversity, that respect for all people. It's what's inside that counts. Part of the mission. It's what inside that counts.
Wow. We should have those tests performed even now with adults, I think.
Yeah. It was great. Start them out small, right? And grow it.
Right. So now with the new current presidency that we're going to have, what is one of the messages that the new president should convey to the entire community about the college, about our tradition?
That that he is happy to be here, that he respects what has been, and he'll try and bring us along slowly, once he establishes that trust with everyone, into the future. And that he's interested in every department, in every building, that he's interested in what you do, whether you're a student or you're part of the maintenance staff, or you're a teacher, or you're the librarian, or whatever it might happen to be. Again, that's that respect, right? That's that respect. All jobs are important, and we need you. Just as we need him, he needs us, and that he will listen to us, right? Now, of course, you know how it is. Sometimes when you have an idea, you think it's the best idea, and you realize, wait a minute, there's a better idea out there. So we have to be open to him as he is open to us. But establishing that sense of trust and community with us and with the world.
Okay. So, what do you wish for the future of St. Joseph's College?
What do I wish? That it continues to grow. That everybody will see us as this little place is a dynamo, as our regent Kathy Cashin said. You know, she goes to all of these meetings, these state meetings, and she hears about St. Joseph's College. And the courageous women and men that are at St. Joseph's College and put forth those efforts, put forth the values of the college. You know, I always say, when I die, if you slit my skin, what's going to pour out is not blood. It's going to pour out St. Joseph's College. SJC on this arm, and on this arm, CSJ, the Sisters of St. Joseph. That's what's going to come out. That's what we need.
It's a beautiful ending to our question. Thank you, Sister.
Thank you. I just hope I answered your questions.
You're great. You just had to do it out.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.